the hour. But first, Rob, let's go to your sport, baseball. Obviously getting underway July 23rd. And it's going to be a lot of fun. They starting off with some heavy games and series. And so we look forward
Yankees,
to that.
Nationals, yep. That's the first game of the year, Chris.
Well, the Yankees are healthy, so far, which was a problem last year. And, I mean, to see that lineup, with Giancarlo Stanton and
Aaron Judge
and Gleyber Torres and all those guys like LeMahieu against the staff for the Nationals. Oh, that's going to be great baseball.
No, that's a great opener. I like the idea.
Question.
Obviously, the Nationals are the World Series champions, so they should play the first game of the year, Chris, right? They should be out there. Yep. They deserve it with their run they had. But another big trade in the offseason was the Mookie Betts and David Price trade, Chris, from the Boston Red Sox to the Los Angeles Dodgers, who, if you remember, they lost to the Nationals in L.A. You remember when people walked out? Remember when people walked out of Dodger Stadium? They were so mad last year because the Nationals weren't supposed to. The Dodgers haven't won a World Series, Chris, since 1988. Can you believe that? Think about that.
No, I remember, and look, obviously they've certainly been the best team in the National League for the last 6, 7
years, right?
Well, probably 3 or 4, yeah.
Because they've won
been
the division,
most consistent, right?
Yeah,
we won it 6 straight, 7 straight,
6 or 7 years in a row, right?
But they've probably been the best team in the league, the National League, for, like you said, 3, 4 years, and they just haven't gotten it done. And the bottom line is, if they don't get it done, we're not going to remember that they were the best team. We're not going to think of them as the best team. And so they got to get it done. A lot of people think they will this year. Mookie Betts, one of the best players in baseball. It's clear Mike Trout is number 1, but a lot of people think Mookie is number 2.
And Chris, this is good to bring up in the conversation that we just had about Patrick Mahomes. Mookie Betts, if it wasn't for the pandemic and what was going on, he was hoping to be the first $500 million player. Trout got the 426. Mookie Betts.
You think he would have got 500?
Well, I'm just saying he was hoping because of, what I mean, the way that it goes up all the time.
Yeah, I don't think he would have went up that, but you never know. Because Trout jumped huge.
Because remember, Trout, Bryce Harper and Manny Machado got 300.
Right.
And he got 426. It wasn't like he got 350.
Yeah.
He got 426.
Right.
So that's why they were thinking that Mookie Betts, Chris, possibly could be the first 500
I think he would have got it the most 450 at the most.
Right.
And I would try to not pay him as much as Trout, but
he would have got, just with the timing and whatnot, but with the pandemic and what's going on, that's not going to happen. And there was an instant, if there was no baseball, that Chris, he might not have played for the Dodgers.
That would have been crazy.
Can you imagine making a trade like that?
Oh, man. But anyway, speaking of Mookie Betts, Rob, he talked to the LA Times, and he got on the topic that we discussed a bit last week, and it is the dearth of black players in the major leagues. It's down to 7.5%, 7.7. Actually, a little bit of a rise from like 3 years ago when it was down all the way down to 6.7, which is the low since, the 50s. When players really began flooding into the league. But Mookie said this. He said it's not on baseball. This is what he said. Obviously, Major League Baseball can help, but I think it's on us, the black players, to bring it to the black communities and make baseball cool. I think that's where the disconnect is. Us as black people don't think it's that much fun. So we have to find a way to make it fun for the black community and get more guys here. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I think baseball has to make it available to everybody, Chris. We're also going to get somebody from Major League Baseball in the RBI program, talk about the stuff that they've done. Some of the stuff that they'll be able to break down, Chris, is the number of players who have been in the draft. You know what I mean? They haven't made it to the major leagues yet, not the numbers yet, but they're there. They're in the system. So I think that's part of it. But you got to have casual stars that have some charisma and who make it fun. Everybody paid attention to Barry Bonds. Am I right? That's the last guy I would say that I don't care who you were, you paid attention to him because he had that kind of flair. When Judge first came on the scene, he was very exciting, but you need more of that. You need the Mookie Betts.
And he's been hurt, too.
Right. You need right. And he has, Chris, the last couple of years, which has derailed some of his stardom. But I do believe there are some guys that the baseball needs to step up. Another guy is Tim Anderson, Chris, the shortstop for the White Sox. Right? He's got the hip hop stuff. He's got a little swagger to him. Outspoken. Those are the guys, and the White Sox have a good team. Like a lot of people like the White Sox, but you got to have those guys where they're playing in meaningful games, where people know them, where they're allowed to be themselves. You know, that was a big thing. I always remember the controversy about Ken Griffey Jr. You remember some players didn't like Chris that he wore his hat backwards.
Right.
Remember that?
Right.
That's flair.
You gotta let that stuff go.
You gotta let some of that stuff go.
Whatever the reason, let's just keep it real. In the history of American sports, African Americans have been, I'd say, the most colorful, no pun intended, players. Now, not that there aren't white ones who are colorful. Bryce Harper, is colorful.
Bryce Harper's definitely on that list.
I mean, there's definitely white players who are like that. But, I mean, Muhammad Ali.
Reggie
Jackson. You can go down, Mickey Rivers. Even Ricky Henderson. Right. Like you mentioned Barry Bonds. And you can go to other sports. And, who the ones dancing in the end zone? Who started that? Black players. You know what I mean? Who
was
the
it
one
Billy White Shoes Johnson?
I don't know if he was the first, but he obviously was one of the
early ones. But he was one of those guys, right?
No question. And he was, he was one of the first ones to do something other than spiking the football. I don't know if he was the first either, but Bob Hayes used to kind of do like a mini spike. And, how about dunking the basketball in different ways. Like, black athletes bring a flair to games.
I'll give you the best example. You ready? Best example, Chris. Dusty Baker started the high five.
Right.
Seriously, you think of that as he started forever guys would give each other a handshake, pat them on the butt as they walk by. After Dusty Baker is credited for the high five the first time somebody put their arm up, you know what I mean?
Yep.
After a home run or after a play. That's incredible when you think about that.
No doubt. And so I think, Rob, that one, and obviously baseball is still drawing fans and popular and all that, but it doesn't capture the imagination of the country. It doesn't regionally, but of the country like it used to. I mean, the baseball was king in black and in white areas. It was king, and it doesn't capture that imagination. And I think a part of it is that now there are so few African-American players. We can call, a lot of the players from the Caribbean, South America, they're black if you want, obviously they're of African descent. But they're different culturally from the African-American players that bring pizzazz and
I've had arguments with people, Chris, about that. You could look at them and say that they got black skin. Big Papi speaks Spanish, and he has a different culture. When he plays.
But that doesn't mean you're not black.
I didn't say that. Culture. But that's not the.
They're not black Americans.
That's not the way people look at them, and that's not the way they look at themselves.
I look at them as black. I look at Big Papi as black. I don't care if he speaks Spanish. We speak English. English.
Big Papi,
both of them are European languages.
Big Papi wouldn't consider himself black.
He's clearly of African descent.
That's different. That's not black.
That is. Well,
I bet you, Chris, if they asked him to check the box, if there was a box and it said black, white, Hispanic, what box do you think Big Papi's checking?
Hispanic's not a race, though.
I'm asking you.
Because you can be white and be Hispanic.
I get it. I'm asking you if those were your three choices for Big Papi on the ballot and you had to pick one.
But they're not. Hispanic's not in the race category.
Just like I'm asking you it's the same thing. They always have polls. Have polls that they put Jews, right? That's a religion. It ain't a race of people. Right. It's a religion. But Jews are counted separately. Races. Am I right? Right. That's my point.
My outlook is Pan-African. People of African descent all black. I mean, period. They're of African descent.
All right, I don't want to get off base.
Yeah, but
let's get back to.
But look, my point is they don't have the you know they are different culturally. There's no question about that. And so I think that baseball misses that. Look, what's made the NBA so popular, right? I mean, yeah, we like the games and this and that, but it's the storylines. It's the flair. It's the personalities of the players. It's what they're saying and doing on social media and all that. And you had baseball players who could rival, you mentioned Reggie Jackson, who could rival any of the quote-unquote colorful characters of the NBA. And so I do think, like, this is what Mookie Betts is talking about. Baseball's got to let these guys, their personalities come out and be themselves and you know, play with their flavor. And I think if they do that, you know, some of the cool factor will be brought back. We'll see if it ends up leading to more African Americans playing. There's a lot more than the cool factor in this situation. It's not just that, but that's a little something. And I think Mookie Betts hit on it.